He was like, man, Fergel's just saying stuff. I'm out.
That may have been due to the fact that while we were recording that show, I was exceptionally stoned.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They called the Ghostbusters, and they're in control.
Although I would like to be Toku, possibly raise arm.
You mean weird baby animals?
Hello and welcome to Movie Smash!
Hello and welcome to Movie Smash, a show where we dive headfirst into comic book movies outside the MCU. If you're new to the show, thanks for joining us. If you've been here before, you know the drill. Each episode, we're going to smash through a movie whose source materials from a graphic novel or a comic. Is it worth revisiting? Should it be forgotten? Let's find out. This is Movie Smash. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Roberts. I'm the founder of All Panel Creations. With me today, I have a man who knows all about the secret of the ooze, Jeremy Parmentier.
Hey, it's Jeremy Parmentier, also of the Retrovaniacs podcast. We're not going to discuss my ooze on this podcast by legal order.
Also with me tonight, I have a man who likes stuffing random ice cubes into donuts, Fergel Amayo.
You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with stuffing random ice cubes into donuts. I think that, along with other fluffy stuff into donuts, makes it all good. But this is Fergel Amayo of Gotham Knight Comics, where nerddom is our heaven, and we are about to talk turtle power. I'll leave it there.
And our guest this evening with us is from the Dr. P.F. Jeremiah and his Infernal Roommate show, Jeremy Ellis.
Hello, audience members of the wonderful and great Movie Smash. My name is Jeremy Ellis. You can just call me Jer. Pretty much everybody does. Can't tell you how very excited I am that we get to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I'm a man in my 40s, and I grew up in the 90s, and anybody who grew up in the 90s pretty much knew Ninja Turtles were their life. And I can't tell you how much I look forward to talking about this.
And I cannot disagree with you about that. And the funny thing about this timing, actually, Jer, I guess call you Jer to make it less confusing. You brought this up before we started recording, that the theaters have just re-released this movie for their 35th anniversary. Has anyone seen it in the theaters again? Not this movie, the first one, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to make sure we're thinking. They didn't release Secret of the Ooze. I don't think that would have played well today. But
that's coming out next year.
That's 2026.
Well, they did remake the cartoon version of it with Stockman, which is awesome. Have you guys seen that one? The Stockman ones? Oh man, it's a completely different story altogether. But this movie was the answer to what the perceived violence of the first TMNT, which I think is a great movie.
So if you can't tell, our movie tonight is 1991's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Secret of the Ooze, starring Paige Turco and David Warner, directed by Micheal Pressman. So, Jerry, you picked this movie for us. Why'd you pick Secret of the Ooze?
So there's really two reasons why I picked this movie. Was mainly because, as stated before, the Ninja Turtles are awesome, and anytime I can get to talk about it, it is really 100% totally on board. And logistically, the last time me and my co-host were on this show, he got to pick the movie. So when Chris gave us the invitation to be back on the show, I got to technically pick this movie. So it's kind of a fair is fair.
Yeah, and I think when I sent you guys the list, I was like, this is going to be coming out for us around Halloween. And you said, well, TMNT counts as Halloween. They're a bunch of guys in costumes.
I feel like you were a little upset when I picked this, because it's really more of we were going for Halloween. I'm like, Toka and Raza are scary.
There you go. So hopefully our audience will forgive us if they don't think it's Halloween enough. And if it is Halloween enough, as always, send me a note. But so guys, we've done a TMNT movie before. We did the first one. But for those who have not listened to that episode, were you guys familiar with who the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were before seeing this movie?
No. Throw things up a little bit. Does that feel like it's good? Like that just changes the conversation dynamic? Let's do this.
Unlike Fergel, I was familiar with the Turtles. We did do the first Turtles movie, but I would have seen this and the original Turtles movie when they were brand new. In fact, Chris, you and I actually went on some other podcast before and guested to talk about TMNT 3. So we've done all three of these live-action Turtle movies now.
We have, haven't we?
They didn't get better on the third one. Wasn't that the one where they were in time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Turtles in
Time.
Time.
That one went back in time. Yeah, they didn't. The first one was the best one, and they just sort of slid down the reality line after that.
Yeah, the third one, they kind of just gave up.
So, funny enough, I was watching a video that was talking about Turtles 3. And then I guess they asked Eastman and Laird what's their ranking for each of the movies. So basically they said that the first Turtles was the best, the second movie is the worst, and the third one is their number 2 because it's kind of like in the middle of like their idea for the comics and kind of the silly cartoon aspects of what launched Turtles into megastardom.
Yeah, from what I understand, they were not big fans of the show. And actually, that's how I got introduced to the Turtles, was through the animated show back in the day.
Well, they they also said about these characters. So keep in mind, Turtles in the last, say, 3 to 4 years, it's been a slow burn, but they've had an incredible resurgence, right? I mean, including to the point where Eastman's back. They've had a real resurgence of stories. They that remake, the Michael Bay remake in part 2 of that, right? Because Michael Bay did Turtles 1 and Turtles 2 in the late 2000s. And then, again, that second one sort of takes the same Secret of the Ooze story that we're kind of playing with now, but instead of using, what it does for this movie, they actually go back to King the Conqueror, Stockman, the Mausers, all of it. Real, like, they go more comic accurate, if not the Turtles being accurate. At least the movie itself for the storyline was pretty cool.
I have not seen those movies yet, so when we get to that movie, I'll be saying, no, this is my first viewing of it. But for this one, actually, Jeremy, given the year this came out, I may have seen this in theaters with you.
Very possible. Although I think I would have seen this with my brothers. They were definitely way more into the Turtles cartoon show than I was. I mean, I knew it and I liked it, but like they were really into it. So I'm pretty sure I saw this with them, although you could have come with us too. Who knows?
This came out in 91. So what year in high school were you guys?
I think we would have been in middle school.
No, 91. No, 91 was a freshman.
No, 92.
You guys
92?
You guys were freshmen in high school in 91?
Yeah, I guess we started in
95.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You graduated in 95?
Yeah, staying alive in 95.
Holy cow.
I know we don't look a day above 47, but we in fact are older.
So I apologize for stating this, but when this movie came out in 91, I was 7. So I had to go see this with my mom. So
I hate all of you. I just want to let you know that I hate all of you. I like to not have a turtle power for any of you right now because I graduated in 1992. So I hate all of you at this point. You're all, in my book, have a check mark at this point.
Fergel, you are the splinter of our group.
I am the wise old splinter. So you should listen to me. I should be the leader of the group.
No, you're at that senile part where he starts losing it. Which is Turtles 3.
You guys need to do 10 backflips right now. 10 backflips. Stop it. 10 backflips.
So if this is your first time joining us, just a quick heads up. We're going to be discussing certain elements of a 35-year-old movie. So watch out. You're going to get spoiled. Consider yourself warned. So, Jer, why don't you walk us through the plot of this wonderful movie?
Well, I'd be glad to do that. So picking up from the events of the first Ninja Turtles movie, the Foot Clan is broken up, no longer with their leader Shredder, hiding out in a junkyard, and miraculously, and I would love to know how he survived what he survived, the Shredder comes back to exact revenge on the Ninja Turtles, and his idea to destroy mutant turtles is have his own mutant animals to destroy them as well.
Hence the secret of the ooze and turtle power. Sorry, well, and here's the thing, in case you guys are aware, I know we all talk about this, but they are making a live action Last Ronin. Well, actually, I'm the only one talking about this because you guys probably haven't done it, but they are making a live action Live Ronin. That's the new thing coming out. They're actually going all the way to the Last Ronin and making that movie, which is going to be great. So they're basically recapturing the original April O'Neil. And when we say original April O'Neil, we don't mean number 2. So I was like, what? They got the police chief, they got Tatsuya, they got, all the people, but they couldn't get April O'Neil to get back in this bad boy. So I was a bit disappointed.
So the topic I asked was, how do you feel about this April versus the other April?
Oh, first April was better.
See, as a kid, I like this April more, but I don't quite know why after watching the first movie before and then watching this one again. And she doesn't do, nearly as much in this movie, right? She's there, but she doesn't really do much other than that she lets the turtles live in her house and she's there as a reporter to kind of like give you some of the background. But she's not as active in this as she was in the first one. But as a kid, for whatever reason, I liked the second April more. But I'm not quite sure why.
I think what they were going for each of the movies is, I feel like with Judith Hoag from the 1990s Ninja Turtles, I feel like they were going for more of the gritty, like comic book aspect of the Ninja Turtles. So they wanted a more like real, like a more like beat reporter that will ask the tough questions and is not afraid to stand up for what she needs to get the answers. And with this one, with Paige Turco, I feel like they were trying to go for more of this was basically more to symbolize the cartoon version of the Ninja Turtles. So they wanted a more cartoon, like delicate, like elegant female, established reporter.
Well, keep in mind, you said at the beginning of the movie, this took place directly after the events of the first one. So here's my take, and I think it's been confirmed by a couple articles. That first movie, they pulled swords. Did you guys not notice the thing that's noticeable? Not a single weapon was pulled in this movie.
They use them as slapstick props. They don't really use them as weapons.
Not a single, not Leonardo, not in the way that you're like, okay. I mean, Michelangelo got a full bunch of usage on his weapons. Maybe Donatello, and Raphael with the butt ends of his size, but it wasn't like the first movie.
There were some changes around this, obviously, to make it more kid-friendly. There was, in fact, also the costume designs of the turtles made it harder to have combat. The original turtle costumes, I was reading an article about this, where their eyes were actually up front, where they could see through the mask better. But their eyes were a little further back in the skull of the turtle costume. So that's why during the fights, you can see that the Foot Clan will only come at them at one at a time, because literally they could not do as much fighting. They weren't more aware of their surrounding. Peripheral vision was just gone. So a lot of that was, one, to make it more kid friendly, and two, they just physically couldn't do the things they did in the first movie.
Just to tag on to that, I do also remember that there was a lot of parent groups that were complaining about how the first movie was supremely violent for their children, because I guess they were walking into expecting somewhat of what the cartoon Ninja Turtles were, and they were just kind of a little shocked about that. So the movie studios kind of catered to parental groups and kind of dulled it down on the turtles using their weapons.
Yes, 100%. I could not agree with you more. Oh, and by the way, before we get any further, I just thought I would announce to our wonderful audience tonight that the Detroit Lions are about to whoop ass on the Baltimore Ravens.
Man, I'm sure you're incorrect on that.
There. I'm looking at that as that happens. So if you hear Jeremy get slightly upset or Chris gets slightly upset, just know it's because the Lions are Lions. Go ahead. We're done. Turtle power.
So to circle back on the original conversation part, one of the things they did because of that change was, one of the things they actually was the original change was because if you notice, Casey Jones is not in this movie.
Yeah.
And they had a new character, Keno.
That was, so did you guys not know that Ernie Reyes Jr. was in one of the suits in the first movie?
Oh, he was Donatello.
He was in the suit. So now he's out of the suit because he's the dude doing all the martial arts.
I guess from what I remember was that the execs loved Ernie Reyes so much that they basically they created a character for him to be in the second Ninja Turtles movie, and he did such a good job being the martial art coordinator for, you said Donatello, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it was Donatello.
But yeah, like he just basically, like the execs really liked him, and they really he did a good job doing for the first movie. That just basically like, hey, for a reward for doing a good job, we're basically making a character for you.
Well, and a lesser known fact, because of this character who used to be in the costume and now he's not, that was the whole reason they wrote the coming out of their shells tapes that they used to sell at Pizza Hut.
Coming out of their coming out of their shells tapes?
Cassette tapes. They had a cassette tapes that the Turtles did a live music show. You know what? Never mind. I made that up. It's not a fact at all. But I thought it would be interesting to share that.
Was Vanilla Ice a co-signer or a singer on one of these things?
The best part of that was you had Fergel. You could have just kept going.
You really could have. It's because my mind is being taken by Jameer Gibbs and Jared Goff as we're speaking. The duo Gibbs, Williams, Laporta, Goff, St. Brown. I'm sorry. I apologize. A little bit off because it is Monday Night Football. We've been waiting for it.
One thing I was going to say was often we see these live action movies with the comic books, with comic book movies, is that a character is redefined because of it, and they start incorporating that view into the comic itself, such as like, Downey Jr. when it comes to Iron Man. You said that before. So, but Keno never showed up in the comics after this, even though he was made for this movie. They never insert him into the comics later on.
Which is surprising because I know they added Toka and Razor to a couple of episodes of the animated Ninja Turtles, so you figured that they would have at least added Keno somewhere else along into the future, especially when Nickelodeon picked up the rights to the Ninja Turtles and they launched the first Ninja Turtle TV show, that they would have at least added a teenage Keno to the show to go along with April and Casey.
Well, let's talk a little about the Shredder. You said the question, you're not sure how Shredder came back, but he is back. So did you feel he did a good job as Shredder? The
actor, or are we talking just about Shredder in general?
I'd say just the role, because you really don't see much of the actor other than his eyes.
Yeah, I feel like he did a good enough job to come back in the sequel. I know basically with the ending of this movie that he couldn't come back because of with the mutagen and just basically, having a dock fall on you. There's really no way to survive that. But he did survive being crushed in a dump truck, so.
I mean, in this movie, unlike the last one, it's not as dark as we mentioned. This Shredder is kind of, I don't know, almost too cartoony, like too straightforward. It's like, all I'm going to do is get even with the turtles. And then just he loses patience really rapidly. He seems really, I mean, I think he's supposed to come across as real vengeful, but it just comes across as cartoonishly evil.
Yes, but not as not as cartoony as the animated show, which kind of just made him.
He was definitely cartoony. At the end, I mean, he was great at the beginning. His voice was cool, but then he went Kevin Nash. He went Kevin Nash big, and I was like, what are you doing, bro?
Well, yeah, he definitely, I felt he was very sort of one-dimensional, where he wasn't one-dimensional in the first movie. And I think that just ties back to what we keep saying over and over again, that the producers really want to make this more like the animated shows. Because I guess all the outbursts they had kind of reminds me of when when Batman came out, how parents got really mad about it. Of course, they kept going darker when he went into the Penguin and Catwoman. But
then they went
funny
to
how parents start watching the movies before bringing their kids out to it.
Well, but I also think Turtles, unlike Batman, right? In Batman in 1989, it's not like people wouldn't have known who Batman is. It's been a comic character for years. It's a well-known comic character. You kind of could expect it's going to go, kiddie, or it might go a little darker, but that doesn't seem as surprising. Turtles, for most people, like I know my parents never knew it was a comic. They never read any of that material to know that this was something other than a kid's cartoon TV show. So I'm not surprised on the backlash from the first one. And that's this one, again, it takes everything to I mean, even like the last few fights in it are more slapstick than fights.
PG,
like it works.
yeah, they're
but yeah,
PG.
it's like the cartoons were. Funny phrases and like tripping people.
Yep. Casey Jones was phenomenal. The way they were, way one of them got really hurt. I believe it was Raphael got really hurt, and just the way they kind of came to each other. The whole fight thing was phenomenal in the first one. This one was literally an answer to the angry parents of the first movie.
Do you guys watch Honest Trailers at all, or have you ever heard of Honest Trailers?
Yeah, that's a very funny show.
So they did one on Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, and they were talking about like the whole parental groups kind of complaining about the first movie and how they nerfed the second movie. And they talk about the scene where they get caught into the net in the junkyard, and the epic voice guy goes, "Oh, you're caught in a net. It would really help in a situation like this if you could pull out your sword and cut yourself out." Because like there are situations where you're just thinking in your head like, what would really help in your situation? Those two big katanas you have on your back, or with Raphael, like, what would really help in your situation? Those two very handy sais and your nunchucks. Like, really, honestly, the only one that I seen who actually got to use his weapon was Donatello, and it was very...
Michelangelo did for a little bit as well. He got to flip some things around.
But he also got to do nunchucks with sausage links, so that I'm not going to lie, that was actually pretty cool.
And wait, can we just stop and make one quick commentary about the fact that the movie opens up and the entire city of New York is all eating pizza? I mean, I don't know. Again, I wanted to catch that moment because it really did set the entire tone. The entire city, like there was a guy in handcuffs next to a New York City cop, really handcuffed to him while the cop is enjoying a cheesy ooey gooey pizza. I don't understand. Was it really a commentary on pizza?
So as a New Yorker, I must have to say we do love our pizza, and it is basically part of the New Yorker for basic food group. So yeah, that scene was pretty legit and accurate.
Touchdown, Lions! Sorry, let's get back to our show.
So, Fergel, you kind of alluded to it. At the end of this movie, Shredder drinks some of this mutagen and becomes the Super Shredder.
Yes, he does. And
what did you guys think of that transformation as well as the character of Super Shredder?
Well, Jeremy, can I call Jared? Jared, where you mentioned how he survived being in the trash for weeks. Like he got crushed and then all of a sudden his hand raises up from a New York City dump ground. That's crazy, number one. And then he comes up and I'm like, well, he's just much bigger. His transformation took absolutely no time at all. Did anybody notice that? Or is that supposed to be more complex life? This is my science brain. Was it more complex life forms that created the idea that they could just grow into this? And does it affect his metal? Is that his skin now or the metal? I just had questions. I thought it was a little crazy.
It's based on the same technology for the Incredible Hulk. The clothing goes with you in the bulk up.
Well, technically, we don't know how long like the timing in the Turtleverse goes. So from getting ejected out of the nightclub via keytar overblow to getting launched out the window to all the riffraff going on with Kino and the poor kidnapped girl and baby Tokan Raza, he could have just drank that real quick and then just transformed and waited for them to come out on the dock.
I may have just been totally swallowed up by looking at a very young Vanilla Ice with the awesome hair that I wanted when I was his age.
Well, before we get to Vanilla Ice, Fergel, I think you mentioned it. The person who played the Super Shredder is played by somebody different than the person who played Shredder.
Kevin
Nash. Yeah, he plays the Super Shredder, who also plays the Russian in The Punisher.
Which is such a great adaptation of the Russian. Thank you for bringing it full circle. Turtle power. Let's leave it there.
Don't turn your back on the wolf pack.
Okay, the other characters I want to talk about, guys, are Razor and Toko. Toka versus Rocksteady and Bebop. What do you think about the introduction of those two new characters?
That's like apples and 3 sets of oranges. I don't even understand how we can. So Rocksteady and Bebop has like speaking lines. Let's start there. They could talk. Like I'm going to use the Michael Bay version of Rocksteady and Bebop because they were like, look at my little piggy tail. They had lines. They were doing the things. They got stuff going on. These guys were like, look, mama, and we come to find out he did that because he was afraid of having really smart monsters. But so and obviously Professor Airy, is that the guy from TGRI? He was trying to be a super spy on the inside, trying not to give him the fully good stuff on the mutagenic.
So as a kid, I didn't like Toka and Razar in this movie. I didn't know why they didn't use Bebop and Rocksteady. But I think if the reason is that, like, I think is Toka the turtle?
Toka is the snapping turtle and Razor is the wolf.
Yeah, I think Razor looks awful. Like, I don't know if it's just the eyes. There's something I don't like about it. It looks like it came out of a Chuck E. Cheese as opposed to more terrifying. I think the Toka looks actually pretty good. But if I had to have Bebop and Rocksteady and they looked bad, since you knew what they were supposed to look like from the cartoon and you would want it to look like that, I would have been very disappointed if the costumes didn't look as good. So I don't know if that's why they went with them as opposed to going with Bebop and Rocksteady, but it's fine. Like, watching it now, especially with like the fact that they're basically just giant babies.
Well, the reason was Eastman and Laird stepped in and they would not give them the rights to Rocksteady and Bebop. And the reason was because those are from the animated show and they wanted to limit as many ties as possible because they don't like the animated show as possible. So they said, you want 2 new ones, you got to incorporate 2 brand new characters.
I guess that helped out in the long run because, like, I know a lot of people do love Toka and Razor, and they basically just kind of, in a weird way, kind of formed like a little cult classic icon status between the two of them. Yes, don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have seen Bebop and Rocksteady, especially being that Jim Henson's Creature Company continued on doing the suits, so that would have been really awesome to see like the suits for Bebop and Rocksteady back in the 90s.
One thing that was interesting, I was doing some research trying to figure out who the actual people playing these characters were. And Razor was played by a guy named Mark Ginther, who I didn't know, but he also played Lord Zod on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I thought you were going to say it was Superman. Like, what? Okay.
I did some background. I was actually thinking about, because I'm a big Power Ranger fanatic, so I started digging into Zod. There's a great backstory in him. This is me going down a completely different rabbit hole, but there's a great backstory. We'll leave it for another time. Turtle Power.
I'm really going to put that thing up there, but our audience should drink every time you say that.
So the guy that played Razar and who also played Zed, was he just from the photo you see of him on Google, he looks like a very large guy. I'm assuming he's pretty tall and pretty a buff dude.
Well, yeah, last time he was over here having dinner. Yeah, he's a pretty tall dude.
I
have no idea how tall he is.
Mark Ginther is his name. That guy, I don't know. Andre the Giant size. Okay, let's do this. We're going to get talking about Vanilla Ice yet?
Not yet. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to characters are this version of the Turtles versus the last movie's Turtles, the original one. They obviously changed the costumes. Which set of costumes did you prefer? This set or the ones from the first Turtle movie?
Well, that's easy. The first one. First one's the best. It's probably one of the best Turtle movies. It's underrated. It's called classic level amazing. First Turtle movie just introduces the Turtles the way I would want to see them. And all of you would, because you're all younger than me and have grown up watching these cartoons.
See, I don't think these turtle costumes look bad. The third one, I thought they looked terrible, but this one, they still look pretty good.
Yeah, I think in the third one, couldn't we see like the neckline on one of them in the third one?
Yeah, and they had the roller skates or something. It was not good.
The third ones basically look like really bad Chuck E. Cheese animatronics that just kind of came to life. The second ones were really nice because, especially like the face and the eyes, because like they seem to have a little bit more like life and personality, and they looked more like normal. They almost looked human in an aspect where like the first Ninja Turtles, it's basically the difference of, comparing to the comic to the to the cartoon, where like in this one, it feels like they tried to go for more of like what would a realistic cartoon Ninja Turtles look like, and pretty much this is the spitting representation of what a lifelike cartoon Ninja Turtle would look like.
I'm with you, Jeremy and Jared. That the second one I think looks better. In fact, they had more animatronics in it, more motors, more gears. So, but yeah, the third one is it's burned in my memory how bad the third one is. So anything above that is fantastic.
And technically, there's no mouth hole that we get to see for a split second that everyone loves to point out in the second one, compared to the first one.
Yeah. So why don't we've sort of alluded to a couple different scenes.
I mean, I actually like the opening scene where they fight the gang that's stopping the pizza delivery guy. Like, I think that's a good introduction to the theme and the feel of the Turtles for this movie. The more family-friendly Turtles, the more cartoon-friendly Turtles. Like, it gives you that intro. They're hitting, like, the parts of the credits that are coming across, and they fly off the screen. It's a good introduction that says, okay, if you thought the first movie was dark, this one's not going to be. But it's also still looks good. This looks still like it's going to be something you still might enjoy if you like the first one, but it's definitely more for your kids.
I thought first off, it showed us Ernie Reyes Jr., which I thought was cool. Again, you could have thought, like, I don't know why the Turtles didn't let him. It would have been great if he was just a compadre of Turtles doing the Turtle stuff with them, but they just dumped him in a trash can.
I kind of like the fight scene at the end when they're at the construction site, and, like, you just basically see all the foot soldiers, and then you see Shredder and Tatsu just kind of standing in the main square, because it does kind of have that gladiator Roman emperor like style of battle, where like you just see the crowd just cheering on like this brutality of battling violence, and throwing in the comic relief aspect of trying to trick Toka and Razor into eating these donuts that had the antidote to turn them back into normal animals. I do want to at least give props to Razor for not being as dumb as he was portrayed in the movie, by figuring out that something was going on with these donuts and why do they want them so desperately to eat these, and then just squishes it and sees the cube with the antidote.
I like looking at that first trap scene where they're, I forgot, the kidnap was Raphael, and they're going in there to go rescue him. And that scene tells you how goofy this movie's going to be. I mean, there's a part where there are two guards walking back and forth over the same 10-foot, it's not a piece of land. One, ninjas should be hidden away, not doing guard duty. And two, that one little strip of land is well guarded.
It is well guarded, and I think that's important. And this was what you call the B team on the foot soldiers. So let's keep that in mind. We didn't have any more A-team foot soldiers at this point. We were all in the B team.
Yeah, and then one of them, I forgot which turtle was, like walks up and like is like mocking his walk behind him. And yeah, the other one turns around too and like walks right past him, doesn't even acknowledge he's there. Like this is like, okay, this is really going to be goofy today.
That's why Tatsuya is so mad at everybody, because it was all B team people.
And then poor Raphael is trying to be like, dude, guys, what are you doing? They're trying to, like, of course, having his mouth taped and, can't really say anything, but he's just like, oh my God, guys, you're falling into a trap.
Actually, there's a scene before they go raid the lab, and Chester, with Shredder's right-hand man, says to him, like, do you want us to rebuild the clan? And he's like, no, I want vengeance or revenge or whatever he says. And then the next scene, they're in the lab, and there are so many Foot Clan members. Like, what is he rebuilding to? He's already got an army.
Well, that's because Tatsuya took initiative.
Well, you also got to remember the fact of the after April interviews Professor Perry, and then we get to see the gigantic dandelions, and April's tech guy, who is secretly part of the Foot Clan, finds the dandelions, takes it, and kind of brings it back to Shredder. And Shredder being pissed at first, not realizing, hey, this is not why I had you follow the reporter. But in retrospect, he kind of is like, oh, this actually could work in our benefit. And then that's when Shredder tells Tatsu to send his best men to go to the TGRI labs.
True, and it's funny, like, imagine Shredder, because Shredder doesn't say what his plan is. Imagine his plan is, I want to grow giant flowers to give hay fever to everybody.
I think you should have had Vanilla Ice deliver the whole thing. Have a concert and have it all sprinkled to everybody while they're at the Vanilla Ice concert. That would have been bad.
Well, why don't we jump into Vanilla Ice? That's the most iconic scene in this movie, is that final concert at the very, very end.
Is it iconic? Are we sure we're on the same
it's what
movie?
everybody remembers. Like when you bring this movie up, they say Ninja Rap. Like that's what everyone remembers because you couldn't have picked like he was just falling out of like being cool when this actually released. So it was like an eye rolling scene. Although when it was filmed, clearly they're like, oh, this guy's huge. It's going to be great. And instead it was like, oh, no, not Vanilla Ice at this club. And instead he like, while they're fighting, he's like, all right, I'm going to freestyle a song about turtles fighting in this club. And it's one of the worst songs, but it's one you'll remember forever. Ninja Rap. It plays nonstop during that last section. And it's laughably bad, but at the same time, you couldn't pick a better song to go into this movie in 1991.
Well, I also think it's the most realistic scene, given that there's only about 30 people in that club.
Wow. That was a Vanilla Ice knock right there.
So just for the fact that I do remember from the behind the music I watched on Vanilla Ice, they did bring up the fact that, yes, a lot of the people do think the song was pretty dumb. But if I remember correctly, I believe he said that he got paid $1 million to basically perform that song for the soundtrack. So in hindsight, like, yes, I basically sang a cheesy, corny song for a children's movie, but I got paid $1 million. So
yeah, he was all about the money. That man would sing a song for anybody.
Do you guys know the Juicy J song for the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles?
No.
Have you guys ever heard that song? So basically, Juicy J does a song. The song's called Shell Shock for the first Michael Bay Ninja Turtle. So it's basically just like him rapping about like the Ninja Turtle stuff, and one of the lines in it was, "All this green in my pocket, you can call it turtle power."
That just sounds dope.
It's even more dumb song than Ninja Rap, but God, it's just such a fun
what
song
song
to
comes up
listen
in my
to.
mind? The Bobby Brown Ghostbusters 2 song when he opens the door.
Yes,
for him.
that's a great song.
That's a banger, to use Jeremy's parlance. That's a banger.
It is a banger.
It's coming up in my head as we're talking about Ninja Rap.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They call the Ghostbusters, and they're in control.
And they're in control.
It's a shame they couldn't get Seal to add on to the Ninja Turtle soundtrack. We might have.
I would have loved to Kiss from a Rose, because that song's in my head right now. Now you just said, ba ya 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 ya.
Yeah, that would have been the chef's kiss to have Seal doing a battle with Vanilla Ice on
That would
stage.
have been phenomenal, especially with the no shirt suit that he wears. That would have been great.
One thing I noticed in this viewing, which I don't think I've ever seen before, or at least made mental note about, is Fergel is saying turtle power quite a bit in this episode, and by this point,
Turtle
you're probably
power.
drunk if you've been taking shots. But there's a catchphrase that said in this movie probably just as much: "Cowabunga."
Cowabunga, dude. I'm sorry.
And there is a scene where the doctor is picking up a glass he's drinking out of while he's in their lair, and it's the Bart Simpson's on it saying "Cowabunga."
That's right. And by the way, did they just happen into a really cool put together old subway train? I mean, Jerry, you're from New York. Does that just happen? Do you just happen to roll down the subway tracks and come down into the because it's happened twice. Like it's happened to Spider-Man's found one and the Turtles. I mean, can I do that?
So I'm technically more in the Albany area, so we don't really have underground subway tunnels. So that must be more just of a New York City kind of thing. But that tunnel set, it was just so like amazing. Like that's one of those things where you just when I watched it as a kid, it's just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It made me want to live into a dank, cold, dirty New York abandoned subway.
Well, come on, guys. It's a reference to the early 90s program in New York City where they would house the homeless in abandoned subway tunnels.
That was the Morlock time. Yes, I heard about that. But this would still be kind of cool. Rents are still expensive. Look, house notes are still expensive. If I can convert a subway train and make it dope, I could work with it.
Yeah, what would be the rent on that place?
Probably nothing because it's in the subway.
Yeah, they're squatting. It's free.
Yeah, spotters' rights. If anything, the worst part about it is you might just have to contend with the sewer gators.
Those would be rats, I'm assuming, because those things get about the size of a dog.
The weird thing with this movie is that there's not honestly a lot happening, right? You get the introduction of the Turtles at the beginning, like the reintroduction of the Turtles, and then they're going to go find a new place to live. You get this backstory that's going on with the TLGC or whatever the company is that has the ooze, and they found more of it or whatever. But then it's like, I think there's like 3 scenes in this movie. There's the intro, there's kind of the stuff in between, then there's Raphael getting saved, and then there's when they go back to take on Tokon Razar with donuts, and that's it. Like that's the 3 scenes in this movie.
I mean, I know I know the second movie was at least a couple minutes shorter than the first one, because I believe the first one's runtime was about an hour and 33 minutes, and Secret of the Ooze was about like an hour and 28 minutes. So
Yeah, I was just about to get to that. Like, do you guys feel it was long enough, or should they have had more turtle time or turtle power?
I feel like you probably would have been. I feel like you would have benefited with at least an hour, like an hour and 35 or an hour and 30. Your standard feature length runtime. Like, I don't know how much more you could have added from it with those couple extra minutes, but like anything could have helped out a little bit.
Very simple statement. When I saw this an hour and a half, I was like, oh, motherfuck, this is going to be a long movie. I'll leave it there. Jeremy, please take over.
Well, I was going to say that what's missing is an actual end fight with Shredder. You've got the actual Super Shredder like encounter, but he basically kills himself. Like there's no real fight there other than them kind of him avoiding him. But I think they could have done a much better end fight with Shredder with some more time and probably a lot more money. But that's what I felt was missing in this. At the time, I thought it was a letdown of an ending, and this viewing continued to be a letdown of an ending.
I totally agree with Jeremy on that one. That basically the fact of Shredder just basically was dumb and just continually just kept knocking the support beams out from the dock, and like you just basically just kind of killed yourself in that whole aspect. Like, yes, I would have loved to have seen the Ninja Turtles actually fight the Super Shredder rather than just like the Super Shredder just being stupid and just, brah. But I guess you can kind of say that like the mutagen kind of clouded his brain, and his rage and vengeance just kind of took complete control over his like functions of what he needed to do, because the Shredder was always technically portrayed as somewhat of a smart, strategized tactician, and then the mutagen just got on him and it's just Hulk smash.
You don't think it was the Vanilla Ice concert that did that to him? Because he was holding on to it in the Vanilla Ice concert. He was right by the speakers. You don't think that was extra ninja rap that pushed him over the edge? Because it pushed me close.
We do need to talk about that, about the Shredder was defeated in the club.
He was defeated by bass. Bass. I want to sit this cool to say he was defeated by bass. Old school 1990 bass.
Full volume.
So, Jeremy, anyone in Subtastics use a keytar?
No, I wish I had a keytar. I would play it all day long. But no, we're a very simple 3-piece band. But if I had a keytar, I would use it.
I grew up with one of those. My mom gave me one for my 15th birthday. That's all how old I am.
You must have been fighting the chicks off.
I wasn't fighting the chicks off. I was at the point where, no, it wasn't on yet. No, but I will tell you, it was cool running around the house with it because I could hold, it had the little at the end of it so I could make weird noises. When I pressed the little turn switch at the end that you could kind of switch it like you would on a guitar. But I did have one of those. We bought it at ABC Warehouse on sale.
Well, if any of our listeners are no longer have the need of their keytar because they're now happily married and no longer need that keytar, feel free to send it to our P.O. box because I will get that over to Jeremy.
Married and have a keytar. I don't know. Are those synonymous together? Is a keytar going to make you happily married or lack thereof?
As the current single man in this group, whatever can help me find a girl, the better.
I'm going to say stick away from the keytar, but if you try it and it works, good for you. I think it's cool.
Make a TikTok, please. Let us all know. Take us on a journey. Walk us with you.
We'll start a YouTube channel that just follows your journey of the keytar.
I feel like I might have a better chance with an accordion.
That would be even better, as long as we could follow behind you and someone could play a bagpipe. I would take the bagpipe with your accordion.
Now, did anyone take a look at this soundtrack?
Except for the Vanilla Ice song. It was there. It was in your face, and you couldn't get away from it.
I did technically own the soundtrack when it came out. Like, granted, yes, I only remembered the Ninja Rap song by Vanilla Ice. I know there was I think a couple of the tracks were scored music. It wasn't from the movie, but there were some really cool orchestrated scores that were a part of it. And then I think there was a full, they did the whole full volume. They did a cool remix with that.
Yeah, the last two tracks are from the orchestra on the half shell. One is titled Cowabunga, and the other one is Tokar and Razar, Monster Mix. That's what you're referring to.
There's a Tokar and Razor Monster Mix? Are they just going mama or e-ah-ooh?
Well, it's the orchestra, so I think it's just an instrumental. It's to make you feel the anger of Tokar and Razar.
They're not angry. They're just big babies. All you got to do is rub their bellies and then sit down and give them little dog treats.
Donuts with ice cubes in them.
Donuts with ice cubes.
So between the two movies, TMNT 1 and this movie, Which one do you prefer?
I mean, I like the first one more. If you're
Yeah,
going to
for
sit down and
sure.
watch one, the first one is the one I'd pick
It's
between
not
these
even
two. But
close.
as a kid, like this was the one I liked more at the time, but I think I was wrong.
Yeah, I feel like the first one is always just going to be like number one in everybody's hearts. Number two is at least like it's a different change of pace, but it's at least a change of pace that everyone appreciated, and has that soft spot in the hearts of any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. And as stated before, previously in the beginning of the episode, the less talked about Turtles 3, the better.
Yeah, I'm with you on Jeremy. I like. It's funny when we watched the first one again. It was dark and gritty. I think the way we kind of reviewed it was saying if you're a Turtles fan, you should go see it, but it's not one you would use to sort of introduce people to Turtle World. This movie is really good if you want to introduce like a middle schooler to the Turtle World.
What are you doing?
Mumbling, Fergel.
That first down that we just got. Sorry, I'm sorry. I should have muted myself.
Are you making a prayer or something? Like you're like, please don't ask this other question.
No, I'm just super excited.
I will not say turtle power anymore. I promise I won't say turtle power.
Lion's power. I'm just watching that first down come into play.
Well, I was just about to ask you a question, Fergel. Are there any other major changes between the comic and this movie?
I mean, that could take its own show. I mean, so TGRI, let's start there. That name is completely different. Let's start with the guy who owns TGRI. That's completely different. Let's start with the concept of why TGRI was created. That's completely different. Stockman, Mausers, Kang the Conqueror. It really brought in the whole otherworldly aspect of TMNT, and really it allowed Shredder to take a completely different angle that I thought was better exploited in the Michael Bay version of TMNT. Whew, that was a mouthful.
What is the true secret of the Ooze then from the comics?
So the true secret of the Ooze is that it does. So the theory of them finding the canister, that's a pure comic theory, right? But the concept of it is it's a mutagenic that allows the Kang. It's both for creating mutants, and it also is used in some transdimensional, allowing Kang and his conquerors to come through. So it's terraforming. It's a form of that, and it also creates other different things of that nature. But that's really kind of the secret of the Ooze. It helps Kang to do what he needs to do.
I think Fergel is wrong. I think the secret of the Ooze is the friends we made along the way.
Wow, turtle power, bro. That was great. And knowing is half the battle, and that is phenomenal. Thank you, Jeremy.
So there were a couple differences. Like they had some other ideas for the second movie before they finally went with this decision. And we've talked about it many, many times about how parent groups and people just wanted a lighter movie. So their original ideas were much darker than what we ended up having here. One was they didn't want Shredder to be the villain for this movie. That was the plan. They actually planned to have it. It opens up with that they find his mangled body in the trash.
Was it his child?
Ooh.
And they bring him back for the third movie, and they explain that somehow. They just hadn't figured that part out yet. But yeah, they actually find his crushed and twisted armor inside the trash can because, the compactor and stuff. And the second movie was supposed to actually involve Stockman and the Rat King.
That would make sense.
Mind if I tag something on from what I kind of heard? So I just want to start off by saying that I found this on Facebook with a post from one of the nerd sites that I like to feature. So I'm just going to say take this with a grain of salt because, social media does tend to fudge some stuff. But I guess there was an original idea for an end credit scene for Ninja Turtles 2 that we find out that Professor Perry would actually be a mechanical suit controlled by Krang.
That would have been great. That would have been cool. That actually would have been dope. I would have stuck around for that one.
Like kind of almost setting up that this could be the potential for a third movie where we get introduced to Krang, and maybe Krang finds his would find Krang's or Shredder's mangled body in the dump and somehow brings him back to life.
That would have made 3 Superman worth it.
That would have been very interesting, but instead we got Turtles traveling back in time.
So the next question for you guys is, which one of those two movies do you want to see? Bringing Shredder back from the dead, or Stockman and the Rat King versus the Turtles?
You guys got to watch the cartoon and the new movie, and you'll get both of those. Your wish has been granted. Fergel Amayo's granted your wishes. You're lucky. Turtle power. I've given you everything you need. They're both on the new cartoon and on the new movie.
I think Baxter Stockman could be interesting because you get to add in like the robots if he does that route or whatever. Rat King would be weird, but what was the movie we covered where there's a guy that like puts bombs in rats or something?
That would be Wanted.
Right,
Yeah.
Wanted. So I was going to say, you just have that character in. That would have been great.
And that was also the movie I think Fergel kept commenting on the rat's nuts.
Rat balls. Yeah, rat balls. Rats have big balls. You ever seen a rat? Rats got huge balls. Don't chase a rat ball around. That's how you know you got problems. Rats make a lot of baby rats. Big balls.
I'm not gonna lie, a Rat King and a Baxter Stockman duo to take on the Turtles would kind of be very interesting because, like, the Rat King was supposed to be like this kind of like evil, but somehow like kind of charming, charismatic, like villain who manages to control rats, and then you have Baxter Stockman, this kind of like nerdy, like weird, kind of sporadic, but like super genius villain. So
he turns into a fly in the cartoon.
Yes.
Not to ruin anybody's thing. He becomes a fly, and the Rat King is a thing. So, I mean, you've got so many different. So, if you're a TMNT fan, let me wrap this up and say there is a version of this story on all levels, and it's not just the older cartoons, which are great. It's also the newer movies. There's even one, if you like the Immortals, right? There's a Jonathan Winters cool TMNT movie where he's literally up against immortal warriors of centuries. Oh, it's so cool. There's so many different stories. Completely different Casey Jones, completely different April O'Neil. Really good attitude on those turtles. So there's so many. And then, of course, there's the new Last Ronin that's coming out. So that'll be dope as hell.
Can I just chime in for the fact of I want to say one positive thing about Out of the Shadows is I really like Tyler Perry as Baxter Stockman in that. He did a very good job.
Agreed. Couldn't agree with you more. He actually portrayed the best live action version. If you think about what Baxter Stockman looked like in the comics and in the movie, in the kind of the graphic movies, he does pick him up really nicely from the bow tie to the whole way he acts to his mannerisms. It's a great show. That Out of the Shadows really does pick him up well.
Now, Jerry, might have to have you on for another turtle movie at some point.
I'd be totally happy to be on board with that. There are, if I remember correctly from your list you sent me, there were a lot of the animated Ninja Turtle stuff.
Too bad they haven't made a Usagi Yojimbo movie because then we could knock that bad boy in there. Go ahead.
I know this series has been rebooted many times, and I know they're coming out with Last Ronin, but do you guys want to see a reboot of this style of TMNT?
They would have, I mean, you saw what they did to The Crow, right? So I'm going to leave that. Like, you could remake an origin story of the Turtles, but they've done that both in animated and in live action, and they've tried to remake that a couple times. So I don't think, even on the times they remade it, even in the Michael Bay version, I just think doing justice to the original stories and the way they were shot and the cuts, I think that's hard to do. So I think you mine an incredibly long battlefield of information and go with that. It's got amazing shared universe potential. It's got a lot of good opportunities to do with this movie.
So I know pretty much right now that that Nickelodeon has already rebooted the Ninja Turtles with the newer Spider-Verse animated style of the movie. So I feel like they're going to go roll with that for a little while. So maybe after that run is all done, maybe a new live action Ninja Turtle movie would actually be pretty fun to see. I'm just going to say, movie studios, if you're listening to this, find a better Casey Jones than Stephen Amell.
Oh, God, let's be clear that Stephen Amell is not that bad. He's okay, but he is Green Arrow. He is Oliver Queen.
He just didn't fit as Casey Jones.
No, I think you need a really broody guy. Maybe like an Adrian Brody would be good.
How about the guy that plays Jack Reacher in the Amazon TV show?
Alan Richmond? That's your new Bruce Wayne. That's your new, if I'm understanding, there's a version of Batman that guy might be out there in.
Well, I think Henry Cavill's got to be your choice because he's in everything.
Henry Cavill?
That's a joke. I don't really care if it's Henry Cavill or not.
To be fair, though, he probably is a Ninja Turtles fan, so he would be on board with it.
Well, let's see, is a live adaptation of Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, you mean the really badass movie that came out, Shredder, Batman? That was both comedic, phenomenal. The fighting style between Shredder and Batman was amazing, and I thought it made use of all the toys for TMNT and Batman. Great movie.
Yeah, they came out in 2019. I'd love to see them bring that to the big screen. It will never happen.
Well, that's also in 1965. I believe the guy who plays that Batman is the kind of the jokey Batman. He's not the super serious Batman.
No, he was. But it doesn't matter because live adaptation, you wouldn't get the same person to the voice. So for this movie, though, we're back to this movie. Let's stay on track. Should people go out of their way to go find this movie, The Secret of the Ooze?
No, I don't think so. It costs $3.79. Wait till it comes around for free.
If you're going to watch the first one, you watch this one too. I think you can watch both of these and get the full experience of the live action Turtles movies and ignore that third one. So again, I think this was good. I actually did enjoy. I mean, good for what it is, right? This is the first movie I watched with my kids, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch this with them. Where this movie I had on, and I didn't care if they watched it or not, and they laughed at a few things. That was good enough for me. So I think this was actually, again, aside from the kind of letdown of an ending, I think this is a more fun movie to watch than the first one. But I'd still watch them back to back.
I mean, technically, if you really want, you could just go to Walmart because usually they pretty much just box set everything nowadays. So if you're willing to plunk down $20-$30 to get 1, 2, and sadly, unfortunately, you do have to get Turtles 3, I'd definitely say you should check this out. And if so facto, next year, as we stated prior in the beginning, that 2026, they will be re-releasing Secret of the Ooze in the movie theaters. So if you would like the opportunity to see 90s Ninja Turtles in a movie theater, you could just wait till next year to see it as well.
They're releasing this movie. I know they're doing Last Rona, but are they really? Because that will last like
35th anniversary.
After the success of the re-release of the 90s Ninja Turtles to theaters, they're basically re-releasing Secret of the Ooze in 2026 back into movie theaters. They didn't say when. They just said that they are going to re-release Secret of the Ooze back into the movie theaters.
I would love to see both of these back to back in a drive-in. Like, that would be the way to watch this.
That would be amazing.
That would be. As long as I can get really baked while I'm sitting in there, I think I can manage that process.
Fergel, I think you wake up baked.
No. I do have a job to do, but on Saturday nights when it's a nice, enjoyable evening, I've got some nachos. I'll definitely knock that back.
Completely unrelated to this movie, coming out back to back, they're doing a double feature of Tron Legacy and Tron Ares at your local IMAX theaters.
Brilliant movies, by the way. Every one of them are breathtaking. So let's stop. One is made by Daft Punk. One is made by Nine Inch Nails. Stop there. It's going to be brilliant. It's literally going to be absolutely cult classic, instant cult classic movies. I know I love Legacy. Tron was good. Tron Legacy was breathtaking. And Tron Ares looks to set the mark of being breathtaking as well.
And Mobius is going to be in it.
Let's just finger cross that Jared Leto doesn't do Jared Leto-like antics like he's been doing for the previous couple of movies. And Disney just kind of keeps him mildly well-behaved.
Well, let's see. His antics for the Suicide Squad, he sent a dead rat to somebody. So he's sending, floppy disks for Tron?
If he can find floppy disks, kudos to him.
So you guys have any last thoughts on this movie before we head on out?
Turtle power. And whoever was following the drinking game, get a ride home.
You're
dead.
Get
a designated driver, because you're going to need one right now.
We are not responsible for your blood poisoning.
Hopefully, do you have a buddy with you listening to this episode so that way you could at least have someone to help you out in the process of if you got a little too overboard drunk on listening to this?
Jeremy, any final thoughts?
It's hard to top Turtle Power followed up by all of that. So I'm going to leave it at that. Cowabunga, perhaps.
Come on, Lions. Come on, Lions. Oh, we already got it. Never mind. Sorry. Super.
Well, with
Lions.
that, so we're going to focus on a game, not focus on this podcast.
I'm focused on both, but I'm so in love with you guys. You guys are really putting up. Baltimore and Maryland is putting up a hell of a fight. This is a team. These are two teams I'd like to see in the Super Bowl.
And this is a good transition to our new podcast, Sports.
I don't know.
It's just called Sports. It's a podcast just called Sports.
No, you need to call it Sports Ball.
Sports Ball.
We need to figure out how to put sports and comics together, because it wasn't Bo. Bo, wasn't he in several comic books? Wasn't Mr. T, and he was a boxer? Wasn't he in comic books as well? We could do this all day, bro. Let's make this
Wasn't
work.
William the Refrigerator Perry in the G.I. Joe? Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. So was Slaughter.
Okay, we got our new spinoff show. Football players who are related to comic books in some tangential way.
To be fair, there was actually a Saturday morning cartoon where Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, and Bo Jackson were all secret agents that managed to stop world horrifying events with the power of basketball, hockey, and football and baseball.
There was also a show where Mr. T ran a gymnastics team that traveled the world.
That was actually one of my favorite shows on Saturday morning cartoons. Now, that means I'm either way too old to be watching cartoons when you guys all watched it, or I just really enjoyed it. Actually, I remember when USA had a cartoon train. You guys still remember that time when USA had a train that took off at
the
8
Cartoon
in the morning?
Express.
Yes.
I more specifically remember the Fox the Fox animated block of cartoons on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
I remember I think it was an afternoon show in our area, Jeremy, called the 54 Space Corps. And it was some old dude that introduced cartoons in the afternoon.
I think that was just your neighbor. I don't know that show.
Yeah, it may have
You
been.
sound like, hello, children.
He used to give me candy to watch TV with him. He's a great guy.
Run, kids, run!
With that, I think we're done for the night, guys. Jer, where can people find you and your show?
Well, so you can catch me on the Dr. P.F. Jeremiah and his Infernal Roommate podcast. We are available on all major podcasting networks. We are also affiliated with a new production company called Bracket Bastards, where you can see myself, my co-host David, and his lovely wife Nancy on many of their shows, Bracket Bastards, a wrestling show called Central Booking, Recasting Call, and coming soon, Dave is releasing his own solo project called Tales of Grindaria, where we find out more of the backstory of Angus the Death Hand. And after all that fun stuff, we do also have a Facebook page, so you can check us out there.
And no show called Sports.
And no show called Sports, but there is a wrestling show, so there is technically some sports.
And Jeremy, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me here every week talking movies with you on Movie Smash. I'm also over on the Retrovaniacs podcast. And starting next week, catch me on Sports.
Sport.
And
And Fergel Amayo, where can people find you?
Well, I'm always getting my nerd on at Facebook.com, which, did I just say Facebook? I'm Get Your Nerd On at Facebook.com. Let me just add that in there. And I will really gladly tell you that we have actually drafted the first 6 pages of this comic. So I've actually put that together. I will be sending that over because I'd like to narrate this story. I told you it was a story that was both a book and a comic. So I am trying to I got a buddy of mine that was able to put together what we were thinking about. And we've got it in a very rough draft drawing. So we're working through it. I am hoping to get this book out by next year sometime on both comic and well as written format, and potentially looking at spring play. And then again, I'm just kind of working and selling comic books. So check me on Instagram, TikTok, and on this podcast and many other fine podcasts where I might just have my wonderful creamy voice on.
And for me, you can always find me at All Panel Creations. We're always building some piece of nerdy furniture. I want to thank you, our audience, for spending some time with us today. And if you know the secret of the Ooze, send me a note over moviesmash.com, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Ooze is my secret.
Thank you again for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. This has been Movie Smash with Chris Roberts, Jeremy Parmentier, and Fergel Amayo. Produced by me, Chris Roberts. Executive produced by Off Panel Creations, LLC. Movie clips provided by the respective studios. You can rate and review the show at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You might even find your review read on a future episode. Got a question for us? Visit us at movie-smash.com and send us a note. It too can be read on a future episode. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Movie Smash wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Turtle power.
Oh, boy.
You're the one that got this movie out here, and that's the only thing that sticks out in my mind from this entire movie.
Well, he
Turtle
picked
power.
it, so.
Okay, well, let's go back to Turtle Power. And Ernie Reyes. And Vanilla Ice.
Did you guys find this movie anywhere? I couldn't find it.
No, I had to buy it
Yeah.
again. Another goddamn movie I had to pay for.
$3.79. Jeremy, I'm with you, brother. I put that $3.79. I was like, mother.
That's why I picked 13 Sins, because I was like, this is a movie that's fucking free. We're watching it. I'd seen it often enough. I could have watched it via YouTube clip, but I was like, no, I'm going to pay $3.99 and get it through iTunes.
Was it $3.99 through iTunes? iTunes is ripping you off. I paid $3.79 through Amazon. Turtle Power.